about making a comment or two about Gil. And I thought, I wonder how long I have known him. And the number 15 came to mind. But it was 15 days. That couldn't have been it. And then I thought I forgot the other part. It's 44 years. And it's 44 years and 15 days because I met him at my first meet in Irwin, Pennsylvania, May 6th, 1972. And that's 15 days before today. So it's quite a long friendship. That was the first one. I met a few other club members who are here that same day. Now, Alan and Gloria are not here, but I met them that day. And I know Dave Werner was there, Jim Bartuska, and Terry McTaggart. And they're still here today. Which is quite an amazing run, 44 years. But Gil has had an amazing history in the club. He was first president. He served that for a while until we had Irwin, where they elected a new president. We would only see each other maybe 2 times a year, sometimes fewer. But the friendship was still there. We had this common interest of 300s. And the madness continues. In 1995, 20th anniversary of the club, Gil contacted me and said, would you be willing or interested in making a videotape of the club history? I had taken a lot of videotape, and we had a lot of slides and movies. So I did, because I had recently retired, and I had the time, and I had the interest, and a little bit of the expertise to do that, so we did that. That was a nice project. Really appreciate that. Appreciate being asked. Gil and Carol had an absolutely fantastic meet in Tallahassee that year for the 20th anniversary. And that was the farthest I had ever driven my 300L. And it made the trip. Made the trip back. Didn't get the Hard Luck Awards, but it was okay. Around May of '98, Terry and Gil approached me and asked if I'd be interested in being nominated for president. And I did. And subsequently, I think Terry was the nomination that made the nomination. But I served as president from '98 to 2000 in September. Gil was always the perfectionist. And he's the driving force behind all the concours. And the concours is about the fanciest I think any club has. And they can find everything from the wrong engine and transmission to a scratch in the glove box store. So they do. He organized the first get-together in Holland, Michigan. It wasn't even officially called a meet, but that was July 1970, and it was a major force in getting the club organized. And he also served as the president, I said. We appreciate all his efforts, and we might not have been here today if it weren't for his initiating the club, and we thank him for it. Thanks, Gil.
The next one is from a club member who couldn't be here, so they sent me a nice note to read to the group. Gil appears quiet and unassuming, but ask him a question about letter cars. That's when you start to understand that he knows everything written in the trunk full of books about 300s that he carries to the meets. He is the chief judge, our first president, microfilm reader extraordinaire, and 4.5-time meet host. The best of many handwritten letters between us and Gil was dated 9/27/71. He wrote, our present 300 Club was organized here in Holly on July 18th, 1970. Yes, we are having our fall meet on Sunday, October 10th in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Our meet co-chairman, Terry McTaggart, will be sending you more information. Later on, he writes, it continues to amaze me that real 300 enthusiasts like yourself keep popping up around the country. We were there at Hershey with the F. We don't recall meeting Gil then. Everyone was in the flea market and we had to leave early. The next meet was in Irwin, Pennsylvania, and it was a bit of a blur. We made a lot of long-lasting friends there. Remember the Falls Church meet where Gil and Carol drove up in the red 300H convertible with newish-born Graham along for the ride. They were real 300 nuts and good friends. Gil has dedicated his entire adult life to this car club. Gil and Carol are both the nicest people, real 300 nuts and good friends. He is so deserving of this award. Alan and Gloria Moon, who wish we were here to say this in person. Next, I'd like to have Jeff Nichols come up and say a few things.
Following Alan and Gloria and Don Warner, I could pretty much just say ditto and walk off. But and you've all got champagne in front of you. If you haven't drank it yet, hold off for a minute. But anyway, my wife and I joined the club in 1975, and our first meet was in 1976. And we didn't know anybody, of course, but one person that was doing everything was Gil, so you sort of gravitated toward him because the meet was so concours-centric back then, and they were pretty much bigger than you see now. But Gil was just, it amazed me because him and Carol would show up and their luggage would be on the back seat of their car because they were carrying virtually a filing cabinet full of records and justifications for the concours and paint chips and all this. And all during the meet, no matter what was going on, I mean, not to take anything away from any of the other judges, they all worked very hard. The board of directors worked very hard. But Gil had to be involved in every aspect of every part of the concours, and they were constantly dragging him from one car to the other. And I just thought, this poor guy's not even having any fun. We all came because it was a vacation for us, and he's working his butt off. And even half the time when the concours would start, or when the banquet would start, Gil wasn't there because they were going over some final things or tallies on the concours. So one day, of course, I said, Gil, you don't have any fun here. All you do is work. And then, of course, he said, well, that's my fun. So he enjoyed that so much. And I remember when we first started, my 300s, they were just so bad. I just kept them running any which way I could. And he was so, adamant about making these cars correct. That was just a whole new thing to me. But over the years, I really saw that was the way to do it. And at the time, car clubs, the modern car clubs, they weren't doing the concours like the 300 Club was doing. The 300 Club was, I think, one of the first ones to do the correct thing for the modern cars. And now, of course, you see all the later model cars, the Roadrunners and all the Hemi cars, they're all doing the exact things just like Gil and the restoration or the concours committee did back then. And now, my wife and I, we go to a lot of car shows and we go to a lot of auctions. And there'll be 300s there and other cars, and they'll all have on their windshield all the wonderful awards they've won. They won this award, they won that award. But on the 300s, usually at the bottom line, it'll say, this car scored 925 points at the Chrysler 300 Club Incorporated Concours d'Elegance. And that's when the people stop and say, oh, okay then. That makes a big difference. And in my opinion, that has to be all given to Gil, because we used to sit sometimes when there was disputes in the concours, and we would say, you can't get these parts anymore, or this guy, he didn't get the right color paint. And Gil would say, well, it's getting tough, and maybe we should allow, or maybe we should consider, and sit there for a couple minutes, and then we'd say, so are we going to give him his points back? And Gil would say, well, no. So what you ended up with now is you've got so many 300s out there now that are perfect, as close to perfect as possible. And that's because Gil started a standard and he never wavered from it, and he kept it. And like I said before, not to take away from any of the other, all our members work hard, our board of directors works hard, but Gil was really the foundation, in my opinion. So what I'd like to do right now, you've got your champagne. I'd like you all to lift your glass and toast Gilbert Austin Cunningham, a friend and a hero and family. So here's to you, Gil.
I'd like a cherry in mine.
We have one more. Next, I'd like to have Terry the Tiger come up and say a few words. Terry?
Oh, do we have to?
Well, the previous speakers have said an awful lot that I was planning on saying, so I'm just gonna let you guys know how the whole thing started. Back in the summer of 1986. 76. Anyway, in the summer of 1966. Gil and myself and two other crazies jumped into a 300F coupe and head south out of Michigan, searching for 300s. We planned on spending 2 to 3 days in the car just driving around looking for cars. The trip ended up in Louisville, Kentucky, where we bumped into another family as crazy as we were, the Dupins. And we spent the night down in Louisville talking with the Dupins and talking about cars. And that was the first time that the concept of forming a club was seriously discussed. Well, we all went home, and Gil was the one who took the bull by the horns and placed an ad in Hemmings for a gathering of 300s the next year. And in July of 1970, we all met in Holland, Michigan, Gil's hometown at the time. The meet host for that meet, if it was a meet, was Gil Cunningham. The first election of officers was on Gil Cunningham's front porch. And he was the first president elected to this club. And all the stuff that he's done in the past, everybody else has already talked about. But he's worked hard for the entire several decades that this club's been in existence. So Gil, do you want to come up here? I got something to give you. You actually have to stand up. Of all you have done for the club over the last several decades, the officers of this club would like to present you with the Lifetime Achievement Award, the first and so far only such award. Congratulations, Gil.
I appreciate this very much. I would like to,
Talk in there, huh?
I would like to include my wife Carol.
Come on, Carol.
Carol's help and approval of things, and that's about it. I don't think it's really been accomplished. So we owe her